Yo, welcome back to episode 66 of On the Spot Sports. And in today's episode, we will be discussing the sports return. So, sports return to play. The NHL, NBA, MLB are all in full swing with the NBA and the NHL being in the bubble, and then the MLB playing with no fans in their own stadiums. So, we're going to discuss how we feel about that and how we think the return to play is going so far. And we just hit our 1 year anniversary of the podcast. So we discuss what 1 year has been like for us, how much fun we've been having, and we do unveil a logo, cover art, and a new website for the podcast. So stay tuned for those unveils, and let's get right in this episode. It's gonna be a fun one, so let's go. Yo, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and I'm alongside my co-host Tyler. And in today's episode, we got a good one. We're gonna be covering the start of sports coming up, and we finally hit 1 year of the podcast. So we're gonna end the podcast with that. So stay tuned for that. We have some special surprises at the end there, and so this is our first episode in a while of just doing us two. So Tyler, how have you been?
I'm doing good, man. Especially these times, it's tough, but just trying to get through as best we can. I was gonna say too, before you added that in, it feels kind of weird doing an episode like just us two. I'm so used to doing just interviews and stuff, but it's I'm ready to get back into it with these opinions because we haven't really had much stuff to talk about with the sports not being back due to the coronavirus, but we got some back now, and a lot of hot topics are stirring in that pot right now. So I'm excited to get right to it.
Yeah, for sure. It is weird just being us two because usually we have a third guest on here. So it's definitely interesting. Definitely doesn't feel right, but it is right as well because we're the ones talking and the podcast is ours. So it's
Exactly.
definitely good to get some hot topics going. So, but how have you? What have you been doing besides sitting in your house?
Daily stuff, honestly, like driving my siblings around. My parents they're getting a little more easy now with letting, especially my brother, go outside and do stuff with his friends. So I'm kind of like the family taxi, if you will.
The
Taking
Uber driver.
care. Yeah, we got a couple pets, so I'm always there to take care of them and whatnot. But it's been kind of tough, because they're very limited to do pretty much anything in these times. But again, like I said, that's kind of what I've been doing so far.
Huge animal guys here on the Spot Sports. We're huge animal guys.
Yeah, and it's weird too. Like you've had a dog what your like almost whole life, right?
Yeah, like my whole life, literally.
Yeah, it's weird. Like my family, when I was like really, really young, like I don't, in case you guys didn't know, I'm the oldest of five siblings. So when it was just me and my sister, my first sister, she's about a year and a half younger than me. We had a dog, and unfortunately, he got kind of crazy and whatnot. Like he got nuts. Like he was like vicious and whatnot. So unfortunately, we had to put him down when I was very young, like 3, 4 years old. And ever since then, we didn't have a pet. Like we went almost 10 plus years without having a pet. And so finally I was turning, I think, 17 that year. This is about 2 years ago. We finally got a dog again, and he's a chill dude. So, and then that's actually weird. It's opened the door for us having more pets. My brother got a bearded dragon. Imagine that. That's like really an interesting kind of pet. And then last year we rescued a cat, and now we have a cat now. So it's kind of weird. Like I've gone my whole life basically without a pet until recently when I'm like older now. So it's kind of interesting.
You got a big dog too, fast one
He's a
too.
big boy. Yeah. He was a racer. No, his breed, they're bred to race. So after they're all retired, they either go up for adoption, or unfortunately, I don't know what they do with them, but most likely put him down, which is really, really sad and terrible. But luckily, we rescued him, and he's got a good home now.
Yeah, exactly. And dogs are such a good pet to have. Like they're there to keep you company even when no one else is there. And it's always fun playing with them, and they're a lot of fun to be around. And especially when you play with them, like they get wild sometimes, and maybe jump up on you when you're like running around in your backyard, like my dog has before, and just like play jumping around. Just wants to have your attention 24/7. So it's like having a kid around, but not
I've
really
seen
a
her.
kid.
Yeah, yeah. Your dog gets playful sometimes.
Yeah, and she's a fun type of dog.
Yeah.
So what you you have two cats, right? Or do you just still have the one?
No, just one cat. Just one
I
cat.
could have swore you had two, but I was probably
No,
there.
my dad wanted to get another one for her, but pretty much my mom and a couple of my other siblings were like, "No, we're good with just these." So
I still have
just
yet
one
I
cat.
still have yet to see your cat in person.
Yeah, she's interesting. She's very playful. But she lets you know like if you go up to like Pyro whenever she'll be easy, but sometimes she'll do like the slap. It's it's really funny. And me and my brother just got a laser pointer for her the other day, and we've been like pointing it around on the floor and just like going crazy with her. She goes ape shit for it. Like she chases it all around the house. It is hilarious. So it's really funny.
Yeah, I'm currently dog sitting for my neighbors right now, and I was just over there playing with them, and they're definitely playful dogs as well, and they have a cat as well, and like the cat, like I was there the other day, visiting with their dogs that I was gonna babysit or dog sit, and their cat was literally like sitting next to me the entire time. She would not leave my side. Like I was trying to
Yeah,
play,
they could be.
trying to play video games on the Switch, and like she was right there.
They're either lazy or they're playful or a little bit of both.
Exactly. It pets are so much fun to have, especially dogs and cats. It's best of both worlds.
General statement right there. There you go. That's it. They're
Yeah,
great.
yeah, exactly. So, have you been doing anything else besides that?
Nah, nothing really else. Just video games, and that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah. So finally started my internship with the Chicago Dogs. So that's the American Association of Independent Baseball, and so that's been a lot of fun. It's definitely interesting during this pandemic, but it's definitely a lot of fun, and I'm glad to be watching baseball again and like having like some type of live sport, especially through like the first month of July here before like NHL, NBA, and MLB started back up. It was fun to have something to watch for sure. And
Yeah,
I've
it must
also
be interesting again
yeah, it is.
during
And I've
this
also
like whole
been
pandemic.
yeah, I've also been skating and running for skating's been fun. I got to train a few guys that helped me train. College goalie Stefan, he's gonna come on the pod soon, so happy to have him training with me. And then some of my other friends train with me, and then I run with the cross country and track team for my school. And then I've been getting into like sandlot baseball games too. So playing catcher, it's been a lot of fun. Haven't caught in like a year and a half, so it's good to finally get catching again. But your quads, your quads get sore after that.
Yeah, when I was catching, I quit baseball when I was really young, like 13 years old, I think, maybe not even. I used to catch, but like my last 2 years, I'm like, I can't do it. Like my knees would be so sore after the game and just like hurting from all like the squatting and whatnot. And it's just like, no, I can't do it anymore. So I told my coach like I really just want to stick to like shortstop and whatnot. Like even though they moved us all around the field, like I still like playing like shortstop and whatnot. And I even like pitcher. So
It's still a lot of fun. Like it's a hard position catcher because you got to block the ball and like it's demanding, but like it's still a lot of fun. And like we're actually playing Sandlot, and then like there's supposed to be a 14U practice like after our game or after our like Sandlot game, and like the 14U wanted to scrimmage us, so a bunch of scrubs like us who haven't played baseball in a year and a half and just picked up a bat that day in over a year. We're playing against 14U travel guys, and sad to say that they demolished us. But I got one of our two hits, so I'll take it.
That's crazy.
It was fun. Like we're having like walk up music and like we're just like blasting music just for fun. It was so much fun.
That's pretty cool, honestly. Like you get to like just like let loose and have fun with those kids like that.
Yeah, and it was nice to watch them because like they were in the middle of their season, like so they're actually like, conditioned and actually like good for like being in the middle of the season. I think they're like well over 500, like maybe like 800 winning percentage. So it was nice. So it was nice playing against those kids, and the coaches were super chill too, and like they're laughing with us and like just joking with us, and so it was like a fun atmosphere for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah. So talking about sports, let's get into the sports. Why don't we?
Yeah, might as well. Let's do it.
Yeah. So recently MLB started back up. They've been the first league to start up in America, besides for like American Association of Independent Baseball and United Shores Professional Baseball League. But MLB is like the first like main sport to come back. It's been going on for like a month, almost a month, I would say. NHL starts back up this Saturday. NBA just started this week, and NFL is hopefully starting up at the same time they usually start. So we're gonna be having four of the main sports all in the same like season. So it's gonna be a lot of sports watching for sure.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, you talk about. I remember we were doing a bunch of episodes back around the time this whole stuff started, and the plan for them to possibly come back. I was very, very adamant about the MLB being the one sport that I was very unsure of about not playing and coming back. And they were the first one to officially start regular season play and whatnot. But you said, yeah, they've been training for I think about a month, beginning of July, and they just started games last week. But plenty of stuff to talk about with the MLB. Like I said, I was really, really surprised that they were the first ones to come back. But right away, I mean, we already have a bunch of issues. I mean, we have already had three different series be postponed because there's been an outbreak with a single team. You got this past Monday, it was the Miami Marlins. Like they said, about 8 to 13 players tested positive, and then a couple of coaching staff employees. And then the number just raised to 17 or 18 like today, and it's like, oh my God.
Oh,
But I don't know what they're going to do right now because, to be honest, can you go on with like one team like not playing at all? And sorry, Florida guys, but their state's been soaring in cases lately. So to see that particular team be positive, I'm not too entirely surprised. I mean, it sucks, but it is what it is at this point.
I honestly
Hope,
wouldn't want to
hope
take my team to Florida right now.
Yeah, then the Washington Nationals, I believe, were the first team that voted against traveling to Miami to play the Marlins because the team had an outbreak and there was an outbreak within the team clubhouse. So the Marlins aren't playing definitely through this week. Like the MLB canceled all their games through this week. So the Baltimore Orioles were supposed to play them. They're not. I believe the second team. Oh man, I forgot what the second team is. It doesn't matter. The point, but
Wasn't it the
there's
Yankees?
two
The
different
Yankees
teams.
had something to do.
The Yankees, yeah, the Yankees. The Yankees had two different opponents. The Marlins were their second one, and then the Yankees and the Phillies were the other series that got postponed on Monday, I believe, too, because the Phillies were the other team that had an outbreak in their clubhouse. So it's really interesting because I heard a lot of people talk about sports being the general basis. Like, we all as a nation right now are searching for answers, and you hear these professional sports that everyone loves and talks about, hearing them say, what are we going to do? What's our plan? And so whatever sports do and whatever their plan is, that's how the world is going to like look at how they get back to normal. And so with this outbreak in two different teams, how does the MLB approach that? Do they just say, we're not going to play these two teams right now? Or are we just going to, stop it all in general? Because, I mean, it seems somewhat unfair for two teams in the MLB, and let alone in the same division, to not be playing any games,
Yeah.
So it leads to bigger questions than answers at this point, but it's just, was it too soon?
Yeah, so going off coronavirus, we hope everyone's staying safe and healthy from COVID-19. And yeah, I agree with everything you're saying there. Like, I'd say if like a few more teams come out with outbreaks, then I think MLB should just cancel the season. As much as I don't want it to, but like if there's like, say there's 5 teams, like that's like a fifth of the league right now, right there then. So it's like a fifth of the. I mean, it's not that much big of a difference, but like you're just eliminating 5 teams from playing, and like at that point, it's like there'll probably be more teams that get exposed and more teams that have outbreaks, and then that'll definitely like be the limit that MLB said. The commissioner did say that like right now it's not going to be a problem. Like, they're not considering canceling it, but I definitely think if more teams have outbreaks, they definitely will for sure. And it's also for the safety of everyone else, from like the players, opposing team, fan or staff. And it's just a weird situation to be in.
I agree with you about the part where, we already have two different teams being exposed to it. They were quick and on top of it to cancel those series right away. But I agree with you on that point, that you have no choice if there's other teams that get exposed to it. Like, if it starts going from like team to team really, really quickly, you have no choice. Like, the money at this point, I think that's the main reason why they're putting a season in the first, is because money-wise, the MLB as a business standpoint would be really, really suffering from the ballparks not getting any money to all their employees and TV ratings and whatnot. That helps. But now when you have people getting sick so much, there's no point. There's no risk in, getting people sick like this. And especially we're in a time where we all thought it was getting better. I feel like as a nation, unfortunately, we all got too ahead of ourselves and said, oh, we're doing better now. But no, we can't just assume that. We have to keep taking it the slow one step at a time. We can't just say, oh, we're doing better, we can like ease up now. Can't do that. So I agree with you on that. If this is exposed to more teams, then there's no way the MLB especially can continue. And like I said, I was already very skeptical about them in the first place, because they do not have a situation where they're in a bubble. It's all just open ballparks and whatnot. So it's a shame.
Yeah, baseball is like one of the few sports that are like low risk, because like you keep social distance from in a baseball game. Besides if you're like on base or like batting, like other than that, you could be able to keep social distance of like 6 feet. So it's definitely interesting seeing like all the other sports and how they're doing. But I really like how like NHL and NBA are in a bubble. I honestly think that's what the MLB should have done, because like they're still like, because the bubble eliminates travel, and like you're literally in one location for like 3-4 months. And whereas in the MLB right now, you still travel, it's not as far, but like you're still traveling to different states, different cities. So you're getting exposed no matter what, especially when you travel like on a bus and you're like close to your teammates and all that, and going to different stadiums. It's definitely gonna have a higher risk for you to get it.
Yeah, I agree with the whole bubble thing. Again, it's everyone's in that closed area. It eliminates travel, more exposure to different places leads you to higher chances. And like you said, MLB was one of the two sports that came out and said we're not doing that. The other sport that unfortunately has not and has gone about everything somewhat normally is the NFL. They're still doing, whereas playing in their same stadiums. So some teams are saying no fans at all. Like I know for a fact the New York Jets and the New York Giants, since they share stadium, both organizations came out and said no fans will be attending any home games for the Jets or Giants this year. But the Baltimore Ravens came out and said 20% capacity. So you have this kind of like leaning opinions where do we go no fans or fans if you don't have a bubble. And so with the NFL not having a bubble, that leads me to high levels of being skeptical of the NFL season, unfortunately not happening as well. Because going into that, not only do they not have a bubble, how many people, Jag, have you heard about this week that have been opting out of this NFL season? We are Chicago Bears fans. The biggest one for us was Eddie Goldman, defensive tackle, opted out. Big loss. But, I mean, at this point, I could see it. I mean, football is literally like a contact sport. You know, you're going, like on the line, and whatnot. Everyone's into it. Everyone. So, I mean, I don't really blame them. And, again, at this point, it's a high risk. So I don't blame any of these guys who say, I don't want to play. And how that's going to hurt them too. It's how many people step away. Like the team that has had the biggest implication from people stepping away is easily the New England Patriots. They've had at least 6 people already say they're not playing this year. So yeah. I think the NFL really has to take a close look at how the MLB handles their situation with no bubble, and how many players opt out is going to be the big question. How many people are you going to lose? Because that 53-man roster is important. How many could you say that
Patriots already lost 6 of their guys from that?
Yeah, and they could be more too. More people are going to opt out every day, I feel like. So it's a lose-lose situation. So I think right now the NFL is in a very, very bad spot. And it leads me to a lot of thought that they might not have a season as well because, again, they don't have a bubble and they kind of just went about everything as kind of a nonchalant way, I guess. Their season was already over. They weren't really thinking ahead. They were just thinking of, what do we do now for this off-season stuff? But now that time's coming, I don't know with training camp. They're supposed to be reporting now, but with everything that's going on, we'll see.
Yeah, the NFL is definitely in a way different situation than the MLB right now because MLB is playing. The NFL like hasn't really like said like what a full plan is really. Besides for like they're not doing the bubble, and like they don't know like if they're gonna allow no fans or like 20%, like you said. And it's definitely you make contact with everyone, like with every single play in the NFL, and like guys are just sweating, and like you're making contact with them. So it's like it's definitely a very high risk situation there for the NFL. And it'll definitely be interesting what they do for training camp since training camp opens up in like a week or so, or like a few weeks or something like that. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see like what happens with that, especially with like the cases and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Goodell should have definitely thought ahead of time about possibly putting in some sort of scenario where they play in a bubble or, limited to just team members and whatnot and all that. But like I said, it's really tough because I was very, very high on the NFL having playing everything normally. But we're just at a point right now where we're almost there, and it doesn't seem like we've made much progress. And so, it leads to that question of, is it going to happen? And closer and closer as the time comes, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, exactly. And like the American Association of Independent Baseball, like we have 20% fans at the Chicago Dogs right now, and that's like 1,500 people for like 20% of the stadium. And like they don't wear masks like when they're sitting down, but like you have to wear a mask when you're like on the concourse and walking around. So at least you're getting like social distance from there, and like there's no one behind you or to the side or literally right next to you. So it's good. So it's good distancing, but I don't see how the NFL can do that, because 20% of an NFL stadium is still like 10,000 plus people, and I don't think there's gonna be any social distancing at a NFL football game, or even in the MLB if they did 20% fans, because I know some MLB teams said like September hits they're gonna go 20% fans. Like that's still like 10,000, 15,000 people for 20% of the stadium. So it's definitely you're getting exposed to like 10,000 more people than you really should be.
Again, it's just at this point, you got to look at the big picture. Do we want all these people getting sick? And obviously that question is no. So how do you prevent the worst from happening? You do the opposite. You say no fans. If like I said, if it gets internal in the organization, like with the Miami Marlins and now the Philadelphia Phillies, do you like postpone the games for a while and shut that down? It all goes from there. But like I said, it's just this whole pandemic has brought more questions than answers at this point. And I think as a nation, we still are at that point. No one's really sure, and that's the most unbelievable and tricky part.
Yeah, and like yeah, I totally agree with that. So now let's talk about like the bubble sports, like NHL and NBA, because I think those two sports are definitely are gonna make it work, because they're in one location, they're in one or two stadiums, they're in each team's in one stadium. For the NHL, it's Edmonton and Vancouver, I believe, I know it's Edmonton for sure, and I forgot what the other hub city is. Pretty sure it's Vancouver, Toronto, or something like that. And so it's only two hub cities, split each team in half, or like the league in half, and like have like this half go to one hub city, the other half go one hub city, and like you're just playing in that one stadium, and like you're staying in like the bubble, so like one location. You're not exposed to like anyone in the outside public except your teammates and like your coaching staff and all that. So I definitely think it's gonna work, because like they get tested literally every day, and like they have to social distance themselves from everyone like in the bubble. So I think it'll definitely work. And same goes for the NBA. They're in like one or two different stadiums, so they're very limited compared to like what the MLB and NFL are doing. So I believe that both those sports are going to finish out their seasons for sure.
Yeah, both of those are looking a lot more hopeful. And the whole bubble thing, they have a good plan. And if someone perhaps does get the virus, they have a very strict policy for the whole quarantine stuff. With these guys having, I think, separate hotel rooms. Like I think we saw, first main example was Zion Williamson had to leave the bubble because there was a family medical emergency. Understandable, family comes first. And after he came back, he had to undergo a 10-day quarantine. And again, it's very, very strict and laid out. I think each player has a separate hotel room and whatnot. So there you go. Stay in the bubble, in your hotel room, no traveling, no going anywhere else. And then after the 10-day quarantine, he was cleared. He can play. And then there was another situation. I think it was the same thing, but a little more on the dumb side. It was Lou Williams on the Clippers. Apparently went to some nightclub or whatever with two guys And, casually, that's a good cause to maybe get corona because, obviously he probably wasn't wearing a mask, figures. But again, you can't when you're in a professional sport, or not even that, you can't really just do that right now. But especially like with him, you're in a professional sport that's in a closed area for playing. Why would you do that? And so when he did that, they said, you know what, got to put you under. I think it was 14 though for him. I'm not 100% sure on that, but needless to say, he went under that quarantine as well. They've got some strict policies for that, and I think that's the reason why it may work. And like you said, the closed areas, the one or two stadiums, even though everyone's sort of together, they're not though, because the bubble is it's a big area, and each team, they can have their own area, I guess. So I think I agree with you. I think there's a very high possibility they could finish their seasons, but again, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say they will. You never know if something can happen. So out of those four sports, no, those are definitely the two sports that I have the most confidence in finishing. The NHL too, they've done a good job, and I know they're coming back this weekend, and I know you're excited. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm really excited for August hockey. This is never seen before because like the season usually finishes, the Stanley Cup final usually finishes mid June, early June. So you definitely never see July or August hockey. So it's definitely fun to see. And like there's hockey on like literally like 8 hours a day every day. So that's gonna be that's like hockey heaven right there for sure. And same with the NBA. I'm really curious to see how they're gonna do, and like I'm excited to see how like their like season's gonna finish out and like how the playoffs are gonna go for them. Like I've been watching like a lot of hockey, and like a lot of the teams, like it looks like high quality hockey, like playoff hockey, and like how it usually would normally would be. So it's definitely good to see that intensity in August, which is a very unusual time for hockey players to be playing in an actual playoff series at this time.
I'll be looking forward to it for sure. With these sports coming back, it gives us something to kind of watch and lean on now. So we'll be tuning in for sure. It's everyone just got to keep doing what they're doing again, and doing the best they can with social distancing and stuff like that. But it's a work in progress, and like I said, they're doing a great job. Just keep doing what they're doing, and hopefully, if everyone does their job, they'll finish out their season. Late or not, they still did it.
Yeah, exactly. And the Hawks played the Blues yesterday, and the Hawks played really well. They beat the Blues 4-0 yesterday. Crawford and Subban with the shutout. So it's definitely good to see them get back in a rhythm, and I'm curious to see how the Hawks are going to do against the Oilers. And I think the Hawks will definitely bring a lot to Edmonton to play the Oilers for sure.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that in one of our other videos when we were predicting that stuff. This whole new format, especially for the NHL, going right into the playoffs with the extended format with more teams, it gives these other teams that, weren't in playoff contention with a couple games left, it gives them another chance. It's breathing in new life to them, essentially. And I think for, like I said, teams like the Blackhawks, primarily because, we're from Chicago and we're a fan of them, and all these other teams that, weren't a part of that 16-team format that's not 24, it's breathing in new life. So I feel like for teams like Edmonton, who were like basically for sure locks, and Boston and all them, they really have to prepare, I think, extra harder now, because these other teams are going to be so fired up, and they're going to be like, oh, you know what? Not only are we playing, we have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. Like, come on, we didn't think we had a chance, midpoint in the season, when all this stuff was coming down. So it's going to be really, really interesting. How will these guys come off the coronavirus? How are they going to, be playing? Are they going to be on the same level, or are they going to be meshing the way they were? It's going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah, and I was honestly nervous about if Subban was going to get the start for the Hawks, but Subban looked really good yesterday, and I wouldn't care if Crawford or Subban was in that. Like, I think they both will definitely get the job done. They'll both be rock solid. I think Crawford had like 11 saves yesterday. Subban had 13. It's a hot, hot St. Louis Blues team. So it was definitely good to see the Hawks get on the right foot right away in exhibition games to hopefully keep that momentum going into Edmonton.
Yeah, it's good that you kept track of that there, because I know when we did our NHL trade deadline video, you were very, very disappointed in the Blackhawks giving away Robin Leonard and bringing in
Still,
Subban. No, just to Subban or whatever, but Robin Leonard was the goalie of the year. I think it was either last year or 2 years ago, and I know you were very upset about that because the last couple of years Corey Crawford's been hurt, and Leonard coming in was a great ad for the Hawks, and they just gave him away to a contending team like that. It's like, well, what are you doing, man? So it's good that you said Subban looked good, because he's here to play, and it shows them a sign that
I still really don't like that trade, but like I'm giving Subban a chance, and he looked good yesterday. So I'm excited to see what he's gonna do moving forward.
it's all you could do. All you could do.
Yeah, exactly. And I got another hot topic for you. So we were talking about this earlier, and who do you think would have been the first team to get into a bench clearing brawl in the MLB this year?
Oh, no question about it. It's the Houston Astros, the Houston Cheaters.
Yeah, so the other day, I believe it was Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, Los Angeles Dodgers played the Houston Astros, and Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly was threw at Bregman, I believe, twice. He threw at Correa once and then struck him out. And then as Kelly was going off the field, Correa was staring him down, and Kelly was making faces at Correa, and that incited in a bench clearing brawl, a social distant bench clearing brawl. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, hell yeah, Joe Kelly, someone showing the Astros, who's boss. This team literally cheated their way to a World Series championship. Nobody got punished for it. Nobody served any suspensions for it, and the title wasn't stripped. Could you imagine what the whole MLB must feel like after hearing this? Like, yeah, sure, AJ Hinch, their manager, and Jeff Lunau, the GM, were fired, but the players weren't suspended, and the title wasn't stripped. Like, these guys got to be like, what the hell do we have to do to prove to the MLB that, like, what are you doing, Manfred? You're making a clown out of yourself. I mean, like I said, this team literally cheated their way to a World Series championship, and you didn't do anything about it. And we knew it was coming, that these guys were going to throw at the Astros this year, and Joe Kelly sure as hell brought the heat. I mean, the main one was a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, like right to the head of Bregman. I was like, whoa, man. And then when he struck out Correa, and when he was walking away into I straight up died. Like, that was a ultimate savage level moment of trolling, but also telling the team, you going to cry about it? How did we have to handle the news of you guys cheating and taking the World Series title away from us? Because, I mean, Joe Kelly wasn't on the Dodgers back then, but the Houston Astros, to win that World Series title, beat the Dodgers. So the Dodgers are probably the one team that's like, oh, you guys are going to get it. But the main thing that I wanted to bring about that was that particular topic. What hypocritical thing for I think the MLB and Manfred to do is, again, not suspend anyone who played for that team and not strip the title, but suspend Joe Kelly 8 games for throwing at them and making the crybaby face. 8 games in an already shortened season. Like, this is a 60-game season here, and you're suspending him 8 games for that. Well, you're suspending them nothing for
A lot of guys
cheating
have
and
done a
winning a
lot
title.
worse
And I did
got suspended for like 2 games.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the unbelievable part about that is, too, the 8 games in the 60-game shortened season, I just found out from I watched a video that would add up to 24 games in a normal MLB season. If it was 162 games, Joe Kelly would have been suspended 24 games.
Wow.
Just think of that.
Wow.
That's 24 times more than any player on that Astros team cheated. Think about all the guys with the and the everyone, and then with the Altuve with the buzzer. Or no, I'm sorry, it was his new tattoo. I forgot. It's just ridiculous, man. I mean, like, how do you not suspend any of these guys for cheating?
I remember hearing one of the announcers. I don't know if it was the Dodgers or like the Mariners announcer, and he was one of the Astros guys struck out, and he's like, "Well, if you didn't know where the pitch was coming, that's what you get." And like it was someone on the Astros striking out, and like I died from that because the announcer was even like on it and like saying like, "Well, you didn't know where that pitch was going." It was just funny.
Yeah, I mean, we knew everyone was going to lane to the Astros. Like we just knew it as a matter of fact. So,
Yeah, exactly. So
hell yeah to Joe
Yeah.
Kelly. He's showing them who's boss.
He's definitely everyone's favorite now for sure.
Hashtag free Joe Kelly.
Free Joe Kelly. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
so we got a few more minutes left. So this has been 1 year of On the Spot Sports. So Tyler, happy 1 year of the podcast. It's been a lot of fun. We started this podcast last July, and now it's July 30th. I believe we started this podcast on like July 15th. So this has been an episode in the making. So we haven't really had the time to like sit down and record, just the two of us, because like whenever I'd not be busy, you'd be busy, and then vice versa. So it's good to get this 1 year video out. So happy 1 year. And like let's recap this 1 year of the podcast and how great this year was.
Yeah, happy 1 year to you too, man. It's been honestly unbelievable. You know, I remember when we were when I was hanging out at your house, and we were kind of talking about that and I just mentioned, I think it was either me or you, but one of us mentioned, you know, what if we made a sports podcast? And this was a couple months before that at the time, but we didn't really think any of that. We just were like, oh, you know, that'd be pretty cool. We didn't like actually think of it like making it. But then you started taking that idea a lot more seriously, and you're like, no, dude, I think we should do it. Like, for how much we both love sports, like, why shouldn't we do it? And, you know, just leading back to that thought, I couldn't have imagined how much this has progressed into like what it is now from the 1 year that we started this and came up with the idea. Like it's honestly amazing that we've come this way in just a year. Can't do it with a better dude too, man. Like, I've known you for a long time, and it's really cool to have someone that I've been close with for a long time to like do this with, because I know a lot of people, they only know each other for the first couple months. Like, you know, it's always, you're going to be partnering with this guy, and they got to like get to know each other first. But like, we've known each other for a long time, like over 10 years and whatnot. And it's you know, to be doing that with you and whatnot, and what we're going to accomplish later, I couldn't have imagined it coming to this point. So really, really proud of everything we've accomplished so far. It's been a great ride, man.
Yeah. No one better to do this with either. It's been a lot of fun. I remember when we first came up with the idea, like you said, and like we're like, okay, kept pushing it off, and then I think we're here at my house one day, and we just started creating like the channel,
Yeah.
and then we created the first NBA free agency video, and like and from there, from episode 1 to like 65 or 66, what we're on now, it's crazy to think we've done 66 episodes. We've had like over like 20 professional athletes and collegiate athletes on the podcast, and it's been a lot of fun. Like we've always been huge fans of sports, and like we'd always get in like good conversations about sports, and like this was the perfect place to just talk sports and have interviews with sports guests, and it's been a lot of fun. And we've met a lot of great people too from this, like just from the pro guests, collegiate guests. Some of the guys that I've met before are now your friends as well, and they've come on the show. So it's a lot of fun seeing like how like everything has evolved and how great our fan base is right now. We've grew from just Spotify onto Apple Podcasts and YouTube, or we started up on YouTube with just like recording from the phone, and then we went to Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Now we're recording in for a video call, and the quality is so much better from when we first started. It's been real, dude, and it's gonna be another fun year coming up, and we have a lot more exciting things to share in the next coming years, and it's gonna be exciting. Well, so stay tuned for that, and it's gonna be a wild ride, gonna be fun, and I can't wait to do more episodes with you.
Same back, man. Can't wait for all the other stuff we're gonna do. More topics and whatnot. Hopefully this next year, or starting off this second year, we'll have more topics to talk about, since with the coronavirus hopefully slowing down. Well, I'm not sure about that yet, but like I said, it's crazy to know we've come this far, and we don't have any plans on not stopping this. So it's really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Really, really awesome thing we got going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for real. And the interviews are still in full swing. We still got a ton of interviews coming up, and they're going to be really good interviews as well. And we're going to get more topics, like you said, especially when more stuff comes out, especially around the sports news. So it's gonna be fun doing episodes for that. And well, I know we released some of our 1 year special stuff. Like we have like the on the spot sports overlay on like each of the videos now. That was supposed to be introduced in our 1 year video, but it's been way too long since we've been able to get that. So we did that early, and like we're gonna introduce our new logo, our cover art, and our website right now. So Tyler, you want to get into it?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Yeah. So coming up, here is our cover art for On the Spot Sports, for our YouTube page, our Spotify, our Apple Podcasts, our like main like wallpaper, I guess you could say. Here's the cover art, and so here it is. We went with lighter blue than our original logo, because like I think the dark was like a little like, it made the logo like a little more like harder to see. So like I like this lighter blue, and then like On the Spot Sports with the headers on the top and bottom of the word, and then I added a bit of texture in the background. So this is the cover art that we're releasing today, and let me get to our logo. What are your thoughts on the cover art, Tyler?
I like it straight up, and
it gets straight to the point.
Yeah, it looks clean.
Here's our new website for the podcast. So we got On the Spot Sports on the top with our logos on the sides. This is our homepage. So like welcome, like give an introduction to what our podcast is about. This is about the podcast and like what our main goals are, and the cover art, and then the contact page. Podcast, it talks about like the podcast and like why we started it, and every like the interviews we get, and like where you could find us, and like the main like history of the podcast. Here's the list of interviewers that we've had on the podcast so far. So that list is gonna continue to grow, and we're gonna be starting a blog. So posts are coming soon. We don't have anything yet, but stay tuned for that. And then finally we got the contact page again, and where you can get in contact with us is at YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts at On the Spot Sports, as well as our Instagram at On the Spot Sports with underscores between each word. And then, yeah, this is our new website, so we will link this in the description below. And here's the final unveil of the logo. Can you see the logo, right?
No, yeah. Yeah, can you?
No. But our logo,
What?
I don't know why I can't. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so here's the new logo that we're gonna go for. This is a lot cleaner than our original logo. I really like the circle logo. We have the spotlight to cover that. Our spotlight is on sports, so we cover sports mostly. So, and then we got the icons of the sports we cover. So hockey, football, soccer, running, cross country track, baseball, basketball, softball, tennis. And like I really like the colors of this logo. Like our logo was like dark blue last time. I really like the lighter blue that we have going here, and then like how it translates into like a little darker blue, like a little navy in the center, and like it makes like all the icons pop and the spotlight pop in the middle. So I really like how our logo has transformed from the beginning all the way to like how it is now. So what are your thoughts on that, Tyler, before we get going?
I really, really like it. We definitely did a better job of incorporating more sports in there since we've had a lot more interviewees, and that's the main thing. I like how the spotlight represents like on the spot, and then all the sports we cover. So I really like it. Like I said, it looks clean and really like clear cut, like to the point. Like who I guess or what our podcast is about.
Yeah, and we're gonna continue to keep growing as a podcast, as people, as like a fan base. We appreciate every single one of you, and like we cannot thank you guys enough for the past year and how you guys have all supported us. And it's been a ton of fun getting to know you guys so far, and it's gonna be another year of getting to know you guys and just having fun with the podcast and keep grinding out episodes. So before we get going, please listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts at On the Spot Sports, and follow us on Instagram. Send us a DM on Instagram if you guys want at On the Spot Sports with underscores between each word. So on_the_spot_sports, On the Spot Sports with underscores between each word. And it's been fun, Tyler, so far. And this will conclude today's episode. So we will see you guys later, and peace.